Pretty sure we're ready to go, y'all. We got an hour, so we're gonna make the most of it. Thank you everyone for coming. This is awesome, and excited everyone to be here. So you probably saw this poster a couple places, so you're in the right place, and let's get into it. Cool. So before we get started, just a couple things to clear the air on. There's 1,000 wrong ways to lose weight, so I'm gonna give you all the things not to do. You've heard a lot of BS thanks to social media especially. It just amplified all the crap that you're hearing because unfortunately the fitness industry is a terrible, terrible place. I hate being a part of the fitness industry because it's filled with greed and people just trying to steal your money. A lot of supplements and false products that just don't work. That's what we're here to clear the air on, clear a lot of the misconceptions, a lot of the common myths that a lot of us have heard. Take notes if you really care. Quick introduction for the few of you that don't know who I am. My name's 𝕋𝕀𝕂𝕋. I'm 24 years old. I went to high school right down the road. Used to be 310 pounds. That's what I spent most of my teenage life looking like. Maxed out at 310, but I was definitely closer to 320. I just didn't want to touch the scale. I lost 110 pounds during COVID in 2020. It took me about 8 months. That's way too fast, by the way. So a lot of mistakes were made. But since then, I've been able to turn that into a successful weight loss coaching business that I have since been running for the last 3 to 4 years. And yeah, this is kind of what I look like now, and this is what the logo looks like for the brand. So let's keep going. So what do? I coach people for a living. I help people lose weight for a living. I've coached over 250 clients in the last 3 years, so my systems work. I know a couple things. I'm not completely clueless about this stuff. Sustainable fat loss is the key. I could tell anybody in exactly what to do to lose a bunch of weight really, really fast, but you regain it all, so it's completely pointless. I specialize in extended weight loss to lose 50 plus pounds and keep it off. Leave it that way. No one cares if you lose 20 pounds if you regain 30 the next year. This is Andy, he's down 55 pounds. This is Kayla, she lost 110 pounds. This is Saul, he lost 55 pounds and fell in love with the gym. And this is Alex, who lost 65 pounds in a year while traveling, literally lived out of hotels the entire time I worked with him and still managed to lose 65 pounds. I could show you about 100 pictures like this, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to. So here's what we're gonna cover today. 3 big things. Why do most people fail fat loss and never keep the weight off? What to focus on to get simple, sustainable results, and how to apply it to your lifestyle, the real stuff. Not just gonna throw a bunch of facts at you. I'm gonna show you how to keep it off, how to do it for real. That's what I used to look like. That was a snapshot of a 4 a.m. lift with my friends in high school. Let's just move on. I don't want to look at that anymore. Here's the biggest obstacle that we face. Everyone has said it a million times. I could do it for a couple weeks and then I fall off the wagon. Lack of consistency. Go for a few weeks and then you fall off track. Everyone's done it. I've done it about 30,000 times before I did it right back in 2020. How you lose the weight is how you keep it off. So what you're willing to sacrifice to lose the weight is what you have to sacrifice to maintain the weight loss. That's pretty much how it goes. It's usually a battle of speed versus sustainability. Do you want it fast or do you want it permanent? That's usually what it comes down to. You can't have both. Now let's dive in a little bit more into the pros and cons of each one. Also, I'm a completely selfish. This is Grant. I didn't introduce any of you to Grant. This is Grant. He's been working in the company for the last 3 years. He's been my assistant coach. He's my right-hand man. Love him to death. Love this guy. Okay. He's also my button pusher today. All right, so let's go over the fast approach. This is what you guys see on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, that everyone's trying to sell you something and trying to sell you this crappy keto shake or whatnot. Here's some key characteristics to find. Raise your alarms if you see this again. Lofty promises. 6-pack in 6 weeks was the old one back in the day. Extreme sacrifice, cutting out bread, cutting out sugar, cutting out entire food groups. Unless you don't want to eat bread for the rest of your life, probably shouldn't do it to start with. I don't want to live in a world with no bread. Extremely low calories. Fad diets all have that same quality. Just cutting the calories ridiculously for fast weight loss. Notice this is some random thing I found off of Google, but there's a million like this. Rapid weight loss, quick weight loss, toning. These are some of the buzzwords we need to look out for to make sure we don't fall for this trap. Because unless you don't want to eat bread for the rest of your life, there's no point in following this 19-day plan. That's extremely steep promises that you're not going to be able to, you're going to be really disappointed if you try to follow it. Guaranteed to feel like garbage. I did this. I didn't do keto specifically, but I severely over-exercised and severely under-ate at the beginning of my journey. And I call it a how to feel like crap speed run. I crashed my testosterone. I got no sleep for like 3 months, and I had a really horrible relationship with food, borderline eating disorder. So let's not do that. 89% of people who lose large amounts of weight tend to regain it in about 5 years, which is kind of a terrifying statistic if you really look at it. So that's what we're here to prevent. We're here to make it sustainable, zoom out, and look at the long-term approach. So my sustainable approach, what I typically recommend, is an emphasis on build the lifestyle first, let the weight come off after, right? Focusing on long-term success, have the long-term goal in mind, with a focus not solely just on weight loss, but also build a little bit of muscle. have a better mental clarity, have more energy, and God forbid, have a little bit of fun every once in a while. The key to start this journey is when you make goals for fat loss or for any sort of fitness endeavor, if you want to run a marathon, if you want to, whatever the goal might be, make it 1. Don't make it 15. Don't say, I'm going to have 5 goals to hit this year. Just do 1, because otherwise the rest of those goals just become distractions, and then you're leaving the rest of the year with 0 goals out of 5. You give yourself 1 thing to work on at a time. This system has been incredibly effective. It's redundantly simple, but it's so simple that nobody does it. And that's what's caused all those pictures you saw at the beginning. It's because I reduce and kill all the complexity, and the logo for the company is keep it simple, big fella. And that's why we keep it that way. If you focus 1 thing at a time, 1 domino at a time, you are exponentially more likely to succeed and also keep that weight off. So I like to call my little system here micro habits. I break down the big habits that everyone, thinks the cardios, the gym, the nutrition of carbs, calories, everything else. I break those down to smaller, more bite-sized pieces. Let's not take a 10-foot leap and fail. Let's take 10 one-foot steps instead. It's gonna be way easier for you in the long run. You can make it faster, you can make it permanent. I said that earlier, I'm gonna say it one more time. There's a very clear dichotomy. Everyone who I see do this tries it because they think they know better, and then they come back and they text me 3 months later and say, hey, no, I need help. It's how it goes. I've seen it happen hundreds of times, whether it's with me or somebody else. You make it permanent or you can make it fast. You can't do both. All right, time for getting the meat and potatoes. So, big 3, calories, protein, movement, okay? This is my little reverse pyramid here to kind of show you what's most important when it comes to actually losing fat off of your body, okay? Other people have different fitness goals. This is about losing fat off of your body and melting the fat off, okay? So we're gonna talk about calories, which is how you measure it, protein, how you make it a lot easier on yourself, and movement, what people overcomplicate, but it's the part of the enjoyment process. Fat loss priorities pyramid. Number 1, it's gonna be calories. So calories, you'll see in the next few slides, are the most important. Number 2, or 1A, or 1B, I guess, protein. And then 3rd is the movement. So these are how you should be prioritizing when it comes to fat loss. What's most important? Calories 1, protein 2, movement 3. It will never not be that way. So let's dive into the fun stuff now. Simply units of energy. That's all calories are. Okay, it's just a unit of heat energy that humans have been able to label. Okay, that's all a calorie is. Every single thing that you eat or drink has calories in it. All right, all foods are made up of a combination of the 3 macronutrients. You learned this in biology class in high school: proteins, carbs, and fats. So anything you eat is made up of those 3. A food's total calories are dictated by the calories from fat, the calories from carbs, and the calories from protein added up. That's all it is. That's how they get these numbers at the store on the food labels. Okay. So when you look at the fat, there's 9 grams of fat, or 9 calories per gram of fat. So all you gotta do, there's 108 calories from fat, 124 calories from carbs, 20 calories from protein. You add it all up, it'll give you 252. That's why it says 250. Legally, they're able to round down to give you the nice round numbers. That's why they always end in 0. But I won't bore you with the math of how you get to these numbers, but that's how it goes. You just do the simple multiplication and then you add it all up. Luckily, you won't ever have to do this, but that's how they get to these numbers, and that's how it's measured. So that's what we're looking at when we're looking at fat loss, is how are we manipulating calories to give us what we want to hit our target numbers. All right, now let's talk about maintenance, okay? So every single one of us in here today have something called a maintenance calorie, okay? Maintenance calorie level. That is the amount of energy your body needs to stay the exact same body weight with the exact same body composition. So that's my wonderful girlfriend, Ashley. She's like 5'3". I'm 6'4", and I weigh 225. Who's gonna have a higher maintenance calories? Probably me. I'm a larger human being. That's how it works. Everyone's maintenance number is different, okay? So it's determined by your genetics, your body composition, your gender, your age, and your activity. Typically, people when they are younger and they are more active and they have more muscle mass on their bodies, they have a higher maintenance level. So when you look at athletes in their prime, they can eat 4,000 calories and not gain a single pound because they're moving their body so much, because their maintenance is just so high, okay? My maintenance is about 3,200 calories a day. Luckily, I'm tall, so that's kind of a saving grace for me. So I get to eat a lot of food every day. That's what I need to maintain to keep my body the exact same. If I eat any less than 3,200 calories a day, I will be in a calorie deficit, I will lose fat. If I eat any more than that, I will store the excess as fat for later. That's how the maintenance calorie works. And this is kind of that whole process displayed in a graph here. So this is your maintenance calorie level. Let's just use my example earlier of my 3,200 calories. So I have 3,200 calories here. So this is my daily calorie intake. If I eat 4,000 calories, I'm over my maintenance. I'm gonna be 800 calories in a surplus. So that extra 800 calories is gonna be stored as fat. Fun fact, there's about 3,500 calories for every pound of fat on your body-ish, give or take. Some people say it's closer to 4,000 now with new research. But you can use that math to see and project how much weight you should be losing week over week, month over month. So that's how you can project your weight gain, same way with your weight loss. If my maintenance is 3,200 and I wanna lose fat, I wanna get a little bit slimmer, I'll drop it down to about 2,700. That's a 500 calorie deficit. That deficit right there, my body will then take, like, hey, I'm not getting my 3,200. What am I supposed to do? It will then take the rest of the energy from the fat off of your body and burn it for the excess energy. All fat is stored leftover energy. So calorie deficit also is not a diet. It's not the keto diet, it's not intermittent fasting. It is the mechanism for fat loss. All roads lead to Rome, all diets lead to a deficit. There's no way around a deficit if you want to lose fat. A lot of people get that mixed up. They say, oh, I tried a calorie deficit diet. No, that's not how that works. Everything is a calorie deficit if you are losing fat. If you're not in one. Cool, so here are some tools to help. So this is some stuff I would recommend writing down or taking pictures of if you are looking to find some of your own specific numbers. So right here is a screenshot. This is 𝕊𝕊𝕂𝕋𝕸𝕂.net. This is how you will find an estimation of your calories that you should be eating every day. So this will give you, you enter in your info. So here's my info. I did it today. I knew it was already around this number, but 3274. So I said I'm a 24-year-old male who's 225 pounds, 6'4" with moderate exercise. I always like to play it safe. Don't lie to yourself. Don't say you're exercising every day if you're not. Be honest. Be honest. Because that is where people will get it wrong, okay? And you can also, if you have your body fat percentage, you can also throw that in there. But then it'll give you a whole bunch of really helpful data, and it'll say, okay, my maintenance is 3,200, so I need to eat anything less than that if I want to lose fat, all right? As far as tracking calories, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. There's a lot of different apps out there. A lot of you maybe have heard of MyFitnessPal. That's usually the most popular one. That one's owned by Under Armour. My personal favorite is Lose It. It's completely free on the App Store, Samsung, iOS, everything. I think Lose It is the best. I also think it's by far the most user-friendly for somebody who's never done it before. So if you're looking to lose some weight and you want to track your calories in a beginner-friendly way, I would highly recommend using Lose It. One other caveat I want to say before we go further, BMR calculators. Sometimes people get the TDEE calculator mixed up with BMR. We never want to touch this. Okay, so a BMR calculator is simply calculating the amount of calories your body burns at rest. Don't try to eat your BMR. Please, for the love of God, do not do that. That is by definition under eating, okay? You will hate your life trying to eat that little calories, just plain and simple. I see a lot of people make those mistakes. I made that mistake once. We want the TDEE. This is the total energy you're eating or burning every day. BMR is much smaller than that. We don't need to really care about that. It's just kind of like oh, nice to know. That's all it is. Let's talk about finding a realistic deficit now. Like, cool, all this information is great. How do I actually apply it? Food swaps. This is by far the best strategy for you and the average person. You're not a bodybuilder. None of you here are on a bodybuilding stage next year. Maybe you are. Good, best of luck if you are. Swapping foods that you are already eating for lower calorie versions. So on paper, it seems like a pretty simple concept, but people tend to overcomplicate it. Some of my favorites are peanut butter, which is 190 calories per serving, swapped for powdered peanut butter. If you ever buy this, add a pinch of salt. It will make it taste way better. White bread, everyone eats bread. Swap it out for keto bread, not because we're doing keto, but because it's a third of the calories almost. It's gonna save you a ton of calories for the same thing. I don't taste a difference, and if I'm gonna choose something, in my taste buds, I don't really feel a difference. I'm choosing the low calorie version every time. Why would I eat more calories for no extra reason? Coke, for Coke Zero, there's a big myth that aspartame gives you cancer. It doesn't. Okay, there are 0 human studies saying that artificial sweeteners lead to human cancer, literally 0. So if you ever hear that, which I'm sure you have, it's not true. I've been drinking Coke Zero and plenty of diet sodas. There's actually a lot of studies supporting that diet soda is more beneficial than water. I won't say that personally, but I'm just saying. It's very, very helpful, and it's a great way to keep your calories low. 80-20 ground beef for 93.7. Literally the same food, just a little bit leaner. That makes that's a big difference in the long run. If you're using, a couple pounds, that can be 500 calories. It can be 1,000 calories of a difference over time. And then also some barbecue sauce. You can find this stuff in Meijer here. It's a little blurry, but 𝕊𝕳 sugar-free barbecue sauce, Bolthouse Farms. These are really good pickups at the store. I like to throw them in there as well. But you can use food swaps across the board. So look at your current diet now and say, okay, can I find any lower calorie versions of what I'm already eating now? Don't try to completely reinvent everything that you've been eating in the meantime. Don't say, okay, I'm eating lasagna for dinner, I'm eating, a po' boy sandwich for lunch, I'm eating cereal for breakfast. Don't try to go straight to boiled chicken and broccoli for lunch and dinner and oatmeal for breakfast. That's not gonna work. You're not gonna stick to that. Instead, look at your current diet and look for swaps first before you do anything else. All right, let's talk about protein. I say the word protein probably about 37,000 times a week. So yeah, it's incredibly important. What is it? It's one of the 3 macronutrients like we said earlier, right? Protein, carbs, and fats. Protein is by far the most important one for fat loss, okay? Carbs and fats are important too. You'll get those in throughout the rest of your eating. We need to make a focus on protein. Like I said, calories 1, protein 2. Why is protein so important? It increases satiety, it keeps you full. It's essential for muscle growth and helps increase your metabolic rate. So if you have more muscle on your frame, your body's going to burn more calories at rest. Very simple. Takes a long time to build muscle the right way, but it does help. And if you are staying full and you're not starving and you have more muscle on your body, this whole fat loss thing is a lot simpler. Where to find it? You get protein from meat, dairy, and you can also get it from plant-based sources, soy, edamame, beans, legumes, supplements as well. But meats and dairies are gonna be your best bet for finding good high protein foods. This is a little chart kind of going through what the process looks like scientifically of how protein really helps you build muscle. Basically, protein is made up of a bunch of tiny little amino acids, which is a word I probably haven't heard since high school before I started doing this as a career. And those amino acids are a big complex chain that are used to repair the muscle tissue after you break it down in the gym through any sort of resistance training. And then the actual muscle growth does not happen in the gym. It happens when you're sleeping. So just so you know. Yeah, of course.
So like the difference is it eating meat versus saying a protein drink because
Yeah.
it will keep you fuller?
Yeah.
Okay.
So between like a protein shake or a protein bar versus like some beef or some chicken, at the end of the day, it does have, let's say both of them have 30 grams of protein. You're gonna be better off going for the meat because it's gonna have something called a higher thermic effect. And we're gonna talk about that here in a second. But basically, it's gonna take your body longer to break that food down because there's more nutrients to break down. So the more nutrients are inside of a food, the longer you feel full. So when we ever eat fruits or vegetables or any meats, like no one's ever been hungry eating a steak afterwards, right? Because there's a lot of nutrients to break down. When the food gets processed, every step of the processing, the freezing, the drying, every little step strips nutrients away, and then it leads us, you'll still be full after a protein shake, just a little less compared to the equivalent from a whole food. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, this is a writer downer for anyone taking notes. Okay, this is a big one, all right? The 1 to 10 protein to calorie ratio is incredibly important, okay? I have these 2 protein bars. I'm not sponsored or anything. These are both great, actually. I really like this brand. They got a lot of different flavor options and a lot of. They're always pretty affordable as well. But how do you calculate your daily goal for protein? Let's talk about that first. Everyone's like, okay, how much protein should I be eating in a day? If you're looking to lose some weight or just maintain, think about what your goal weight is in pounds, in grams. So if I want to weigh 180 pounds, I'm gonna try to shoot for 180 grams of protein a day. The simplest way to do it. Simplest way to do it. And if you feel like 180 is too much or whatever number yours is too much, cut it down a little bit. Just go more than what you're doing right now. A lot of people have a hard time trying to force feed protein. If you're feeling full from eating the protein's doing its job. That's good, it's fine. But that's the general rule of thumb. Some people really like to argue and overcomplicate it. At the end of the day, eat your protein. I always like to say get some in every meal because we've all had a bag of chips at the middle of the night. Lay's, barbecue personally, that's me. I don't feel any more full, I just feel really guilty afterwards, but we won't talk about that. How to identify high protein food. So this is the 1 to 10 protein calorie ratio. This is one of the most important things I teach in my program. And this is one of the most high impact strategies of anybody I've worked with, or with everybody I work with, excuse me. So what we use the 1 to 10 ratio for is to identify whether or not a food is high protein, okay? Because marketing is simply just manipulation. Okay, people can lie to you. Marketing companies can lie to you. So when you see, oh, okay, you're innocently scrolling through Meijer or rolling through Meijer and you see, okay, this has protein in it. That's awesome. Yeah, you're right. It does have protein, but it's giving you 190 calories for 10. 190 calories for a bar is normal. That's completely fine. But if we're trying to lose fat, we're trying to hit our protein levels high, we want it to be closer to the 1-to-10 ratio, meaning for every 10 calories, we want about 1 gram of protein. This isn't for everything we eat. This is simply just for our protein sources, okay? Obviously, a strawberry isn't gonna have 20 grams of protein. That's fine. We still wanna eat strawberries. But when we look at this ratio here, this is what we wanna look for. If a food hits this or gets close to it, we want it, okay? That's good for fat loss. It's a solid protein source. You look at like leaner meats, chicken breast is gonna be 135 calories for like 26 grams of protein. Blow that ratio out of the water. That's why bodybuilders eat it all the time. Super, super lean meats like shrimp, tilapia, chicken breast, turkey, all those things are so good for fat loss because they're so low calorie and so ridiculously high in protein. So another thing, kind of an example for foods that have protein but aren't high in protein is like trail mix. Everyone thinks, oh, nuts have protein. Nuts are high protein. They have it. It's not really the most indicative for fat loss though, because if I eat, I mean, everyone's had trail mix before. It's like this much of a serving for 700 calories or something. I'm gonna get 20 grams of protein for 700 calories. I'm not really spending my calories very wisely if I'm on a budget. That's kind of how we want it. We want to maximize the protein and keep the calories as low as possible. So how do we use this in action? Marketing manipulates. Like I said, let's look at the facts. Don't trust what the label says on the front. Look at this is the holy grail here. We look at these to know what the actual data looks like, okay? So first, people get kind of scared when they look at these because it's a whole bunch of information. They don't know what any of the numbers mean. Look at the serving size. Look at the calories per serving. Look at the protein per serving. Those are the only 3 numbers you should care about when you're trying to lose weight, okay? Unless you have, diabetes, you need to watch your sugar. That's a little bit different, but this is just general fat loss here. So when we have our serving size, all I need to do is say, okay, how many servings am I going to eat here? Okay, let's say I ate 3 servings. Okay, there's 7 grams of protein in a serving and 190 calories in a serving. Got it. So that's going to be 570 calories and 21 grams of protein. Just doing the math, 3 servings. You just multiply this by 3, multiply this by 3. That's how you get your numbers. Also, if you have a calorie tracking app, it'll do all this math for you, so you don't really have to worry about it. Anyone want to guess what this is, what food this is? 190 calories, 7 grams of protein, 16 grams of fat. It's peanut butter. Everyone's pretty sad when they figure out the calories of peanut butter because it's way too high. And the serving size is only 2 tablespoons. All right, protein pairing. This is another really big one. This is a super, super helpful step in my program that a lot of people see a ton of success with. So fitting in fun foods is crucial for fat loss long-term, okay? Stop trying to just over diet for the rest of your life. You gotta make sure you have some fun. You gotta make sure, for me, I'm all about Chinese food, all right? I'm all about Long John donuts. I'm all about Superman ice cream. That's me, okay? I need to have some of that to keep myself sane, okay? Next time you're having craving a fun food, try pairing it with a high protein food with a similar taste profile. So, using the chocolate chip cookie example, you go to a party, there's chocolate chip cookies nearby. What do? I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna eat any. I'm gonna come around that same room about an hour. I'm gonna have 4, okay? That's gonna be an issue because I'm gonna walk away guilty, not feel any sort of fullness, and be really, really upset with myself. So instead, next time you come across a chocolate chip cookie, we're gonna have some protein shake to pair it with it. Similar taste profile. Don't bring chicken breast to the function. That's weird. But if you go chocolate protein shake, pair it with a similar taste profile, chocolate and chocolate, you're eating milk and cookies, 30 grams of protein, you're getting in your sweet, so you're honoring the craving. You're still letting yourself have the fun food, but you're pairing it with something that's high protein that tastes similar. So you're walking away, I ate milk and cookies, I had a cookie, so I feel good, I feel satisfied, I scratched the itch, I honored the craving, but I'm also super full. So now I feel good, and now I'm not gonna go back and eat 4 more. That's usually the structure. Vanilla Greek yogurt with any cereal is one of my favorite swaps of all time. I did it all the time during my weight loss, just to get a tub of vanilla Greek yogurt. I grew up eating a bunch of like Captain Crunch, Reese's Puffs. Combine those 2, make your own parfait. It's delicious, super high protein, way better, and better for you in the long term. So, one of my favorite quotes here, expecting perfection is guaranteeing disappointment, especially when you think about diet. If you're trying to be perfect, if you're trying to act like a bodybuilder the whole time, you're gonna be disappointed, okay? You're not gonna live off chicken and rice for the rest of your life. Have some fun, find a little bit of leeway with yourself. Give yourself grace, because if you make it, the stricter you make it, the more you're gonna screw up and the more grace you have to make for yourself. Otherwise, you're just gonna quit and then you're gonna be really, really sad. And then the barbecue chips come back and then it gets ugly. Okay, high protein and low calorie. So this is the last slide, I believe, for the protein. This is something called volume eating. This is just kind of the general concept. This is how I like to eat because I have the appetite of a blue whale. I will eat more than any of you. So Low calorie, high protein eating can be described as volume eating. The amount of food on your plate should increase. You should be eating more food when you're losing weight. You should not be eating less. You should be eating more. This plate is a good example. These calories are the same, by the way. I think it's about 350 for each one. Okay? Here you got some jelly toast and some cream cheese with 2 eggs. You still got the same 2 eggs, but they throw some vegetables, they throw some toast, and they get some fresh strawberries. There's a million different ways to show the dichotomy between these two. The amount of food on your plate should increase, like I said. So how do we do that? We add more meat, we add more fruit, we add more vegetables. Okay, still have some fun, still have some flavor, but that's the foundation for any fat loss friendly meal. If you don't have to track the calories to lose weight either. I talked a lot about calories at the beginning. You don't need to track. But if you are choosing to, you'll see what the math says. Lean protein, so any sort of meat, but also dairies, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt are fantastic, with any sort of fruit or vegetable. Make that the baseline and then add some extra stuff. One of my favorite concepts is eat what you want, add what you need. Or you can say it the other way, eat what you need, add what you want. Okay, have a little bit of both. Don't make yourself miserable, okay? So having a little bit of fun on the side of the plate, don't completely cut it out. Put it on your plate, but pair it with something that's going to actually leave you full. I remember I was done some diabolical things. I've done about 2 pounds of green beans once. Don't ever do that. That was too much. It was a lot with some steak, but that's the baseline. This volume eating concept, having a lot of food on your plate keeps you very satisfied long term. It makes everything easier. So it's just really taking that high protein, low calorie concept and just making it more of an actual foundational, like real tactic. All right, we're good. Making low-calorie, high-protein meals taste good will change your life. That's all it is. Just make it taste good. Find ways to make it taste good. There's tons of condiments, tons of seasonings. Seasonings you don't have to track. There's no calories in seasonings. So if you can get your foundation, your meat, your fruit, your vegetables, and then pair it with something that's going to taste good that isn't super high in calorie by using those food swaps from earlier, all you need is 4, 5, 6 meals that you like and just rotate through them. That's going to be your diet most of the time. You can still have fun going out with the boys, go meet up with some family, go out, Christmas is coming up somehow, Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming up soon. You can still have all that fun. You can still do all of that. But when you can make these your baseline, your normal Tuesday night meals, and have a few on rotation that you like, you don't have to overthink it. All right, movement. It's pretty neat. And you'll see why I'm making some puns here. So this chart right here is breaking down the total daily energy expenditure. So this is how your body uses its energy, okay? So like we said, calories are just a unit of energy. So all this is doing is just showing you how your body spends it, okay? So 70% goes to your BMR, that number I said earlier to don't look at the calculator for, because that stands for your basal metabolic rate, which is basically all the things keeping the lights on. Everything you don't care about, everything you don't think about, all of the stuff that you have no control over, all the involuntary cell production and organ function that you never think about, it's keeping you alive. So 70% of everything you eat is going to keeping the lights on, keeping you alive. 15% goes to energy spent on non-exercise movement. Okay, we call this NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's the acronym, but we just call it NEAT because that's easier to say. So this is me doing this when I talk. I'm a very handsy talker. Walking, picking something up off the ground, walking through the grocery store, doing chores around the house. This we can control. This we can do more of. 10% is thermic effect of food. Okay, so this is just the energy your body spends digesting food. So like we talked about earlier off of your question, the more nutrient dense something is, the more nutrients are in something, the more whole food it is, the longer it takes us to digest, the more energy we burn. So having a steak, feel really full afterwards because our body's taking a long time to break all of it down, okay? And then 5% goes to exercise. Only 5%, kind of sucks, right? You're burning calories all the time. You're burning calories right now watching me yap at you, okay? Exercise does not burn nearly as many calories as we think it does though. That's kind of the sucky part. It really sucks because you can't out-trade a bad diet. You can't eat 1,500 calories a day or 15,000 calories a day and then run 3 miles and expect everything to be all right. Like you will gain fat that way. It's simply just math. It's calories in versus calories out. And if we're only burning this much from exercise, the better way to lose fat is control what's coming in as opposed to trying to just outburn everything. Does that make sense? Okay, what's better? Strength training versus cardio. What's better for fat loss, okay? Well, the answer you probably didn't want to hear, it's both. But if you had to pick one, I would probably say strength training, okay? Most people aren't strength training, and it's one of the most key pillars of fat loss, okay? And it doesn't have to be getting huge in the gym, deadlifting 405, okay? It can be building muscle. It increases BMR, like we said earlier, the calories you burn at rest. And one of the single greatest things you can do for your longevity, it increases your bone density, it lowers your risk of injury long term, and it makes life a lot easier as you age. Increasing confidence and help you show noticeable progress faster. One of my favorite parts of my job is people telling me that they are finally comfortable in their own skin. And as someone who has lost 110 pounds, you can see some of my loose skin in this picture down here. As someone who's lost 110 pounds, I will tell you, losing weight is super cool for your confidence, but building muscle is so much better. When I saw the numbers go up in the gym and I started seeing my pecs come through and I saw a bicep vein for the first time, that was so much cooler for me confidence-wise as far as how I felt in my own body compared to just losing the fat. Losing fat was great. Don't think anything of it, right? It is great both ways, but it does so much more for your confidence. So if you had to pick one, I would say instead of treadmill versus weights, I would say weights. So let's talk a little bit more about the weights, right? Strength training is recommended for everyone losing weight. Anybody can do strength training. It doesn't just mean the weights, okay? I've had people lifting water gallons in their apartment that were 6 pounds apiece, okay? I've worked with pretty much anybody across the whole spectrum. Home gym, powerlifting, people training for meets, for powerlifting meets. It can be done whoever you are. It can be done at home. It can be done in the gym. There's a new outdoor gym park in Benton Harbor, which is pretty cool. So you can do it in places like that. You can do body weight, you can do free weights, or you can do machines. They're all great. There's not one better than the other. If you really want to dive into the science of muscle building and hypertrophy, then we can have that conversation, but that's not what we're here for today. Where you're at, if you're not training at all, meet yourself where you're at with something you're comfortable with. Knee push-ups are great. If you can't do a knee push-up, wall push-ups are great. Anyone can do push-ups so long as they have 2 arms. Just depends on what kind of push-up. That's my big belief here. So whether you have free weights at home, machines at a gym, or you're just doing some squats in your closet, it doesn't really matter. Focus on form first. Always focus on form first, because if you don't, you're going to hurt yourself every time, okay? We don't want to do that. So form first. Watch some videos, take it slow, be graceful with yourself. The opposite of doing this is called ego lifting, okay? That's usually what Grant and I know that very well because we know a bunch of the idiots that work out at our gym. Not to be hateful or anything, just, when you get a 17-year-old, they see big weights, they want to, impress their friends. I used to be that person. 3 45-minute workouts per week is plenty. That's enough. I have colleagues in the fitness space that have millions of followers that have built their entire careers in business empires with the cool physiques. They lift 3 times a week. That's it. They do some running and other things too, but that's all they lift. 3 45-minute lifts. Sometimes they're just doing it in a closet in a hotel room, okay? That's all you need. Consistency is everything. Once you get the form down, just keep showing up. Just keep showing up. That consistency means more than anything else. It means more than trying to lift up the weight. You're not going to see any progression. You're not going to see any noticeable change if you show up for 2 weeks and then you stop. And we'll talk more about how to get past that in a second, because obviously saying consistency is important is one thing, applying it is a whole nother thing. And like I said, I could make a whole presentation on this, but we're not going to do that today. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about cardio. So you probably have some sort of relative or somebody on Facebook that talks about doing HIIT training or CrossFit. My personal preference by any means, but what's the data say, right? Short bursts or longer bouts of more relaxed cardio. So a long leisurely walk or 20 minutes of burpees. Technically, the data does support lower intensity, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour of lower intensity walking, treadmill, elliptical, biking. If you really want to get technical about what the data is saying, the lower intensity for longer periods ends up actually being far more effective. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do more? What's going to get you out there with your shoes on more? That's what you should be asking. You shouldn't be worrying about the data. They're going to burn calories the same way, okay? You need to worry about, what am I going to enjoy more? I got really into running. Don't ask me why. I don't know. It sucks, but I also love it at the same time. I enjoy running, so that's what gets me outside, okay? I used to hate running, so I didn't run. So trying to come up with a running plan when I hated running was not a good idea. So what gets you outside? Find ways to distract yourself. Multitasking is a wonderful thing. Call your grandma, call your dog, call your mom, call anybody. Play a game on your phone, watch something on Netflix. Distract yourself while you're doing your cardio. It's really that simple. We've all got a phone. Go hop on a treadmill, go watch. I was watching the new Star Wars show, Andor, recently, and that's what I was doing during some cardio. It's great. You don't have to just be hardcore all the time. It's about practicality. It's about what are you gonna show up and do most of the time. You know, I take a lot of phone calls for work. I'm walking around my front yard in my outside. If it's nice out, I'm walking around my whole apartment. You can ask Ashley, it drives her nuts sometimes. And I'm on the phone. I'm getting my extra steps in. I'm stacking these steps. Why not? I've gone on walks with him where we're talking and just having a good time, hanging out. 45 minutes go by, we got 2,000 steps. And it feels like we've just been talking with a friend. That's how you should be doing this. Hack your brain. Don't make it harder for yourself. Consistency is never an issue when you enjoy it. If you enjoy it, you're gonna beat everybody else. That goes for anything in life, not just fitness. The person who's really likes basketball is gonna beat the guy who has to grind to try to get good at basketball. If you enjoy it, you'll never have to worry about consistency. So find something exercise-wise that you like. It does not have to be the most grueling thing in the world. If it's walking, walking is one of the best things you can do for yourself, for your overall health. So find something you enjoy. That's so paramount. All right, let's start putting it all together. Okay, I've been talking at you long enough. So let's talk about some do's and some don'ts. Do, lower your calories using food swaps. Like we said, there's a lot of products out there. Food swaps are so important. Do, increase your protein. Protein is so crucial. That was the biggest light bulb moment for me personally. I was like, whoa, I feel really full. I don't have to be hungry all the time when I'm losing weight. This is awesome.
Should we do the protein morning and noon and dinner? Or
I would recommend doing protein every time you eat, yeah. Having some source of protein. It doesn't have to be like 50 grams or anything, but I would say have protein per every meal, a little bit of every meal. You can do eggs in the morning, protein shake. I mean, just get a little bit in, just a little bit more than what you're currently doing. Just start there. You don't gotta rethink the wheel here, but a little bit of protein that will also be most effective for digestion. You know, sometimes I'm running a little behind on my protein goal, so I'm gonna sit down and make the most diabolical meal you've ever seen. It's got 90 grams of protein. It's pretty heinous, but you can also do 30 grams for breakfast, 30 grams for lunch, 30 grams for dinner. That's a completely normal serving size. You can get 30 grams of protein in a sandwich. So it's real easy to do. Increasing movement. Find something you enjoy and increase your non-exercise movement, your NEAT, okay? Stand when you're talking, stand more than you sit. Do your chores, don't take the escalator, take the stairs. Park further away when you're going to Meijer or Walmart or wherever you shop, right? Little things like this will add up over time. And then choosing whole foods when you can. Whole foods, closest, what's coming from nature, you know? Was it planted in the ground and then brought to the store? That's a whole food, you know? Everything is processed to an extent. We're not gonna sit here and talk about that. Just don't freak out over people demonizing all these processed foods. It's 2025. Everything in the grocery store is processed to a certain extent, by definition. All you need to do, focus on the foods you enjoy, try to get the stuff closer to source, okay? So a whole chicken breast versus a chicken nugget. Chicken breast is gonna be whole food more, right? Simple like that. Don't try to out-exercise a bad diet. I kind of worded that weird. Don't try to do it. You're not gonna see any significant fat loss results. Before I lost my weights for real this time, I tried about 12 separate fat loss journeys and failed every single time because I was going to the gym and I thought that was enough. Then I'd come home and eat for a family of 5 every night. So didn't really see much progress. Cut out all of your favorite foods. Don't do that. If you love Superman ice cream like me, have Superman ice cream every once in a while. Because if you're not, what that's gonna do is gonna make your craving larger and larger and larger. And you're gonna keep saying no, and then a month later, Grant's gonna bring protein or Superman ice cream in, and I'm gonna eat an entire tub when I get home. That's called a binge. We want to avoid that. Okay, there's something called the binge restrict cycle that I didn't throw in here. But when people are dieting really hard and for a really long time and they're not letting themselves have some fun food, they'll over restrict and then they'll recorrect really hard and rebound. It's really ugly. And having a binge restrict cycle and being stuck in that cycle is a terrible place to be. Don't live on the treadmill. Make your stuff fun. Obviously, winter's coming in the next few months, so treadmills are gonna be fine, but make it more enjoyable. Hop on the bike, play some basketball, find something that you enjoy. Pickleball, super popular. I don't get the hype of pickleball, but there's a whole bunch of tennis courts, pickleball courts, volleyball courts, basketball courts, everything's right out there. There's a lot around you. Use what's in your community. You don't have to have a gym membership to be active and lose a whole bunch of weight. I did it all without a gym membership because it was COVID. My gym membership was completely closed and I lost 110 pounds. No gym. And we already said the processed food thing, so we can move on. My recommended protocol. So, what to do? Here's what I do for a lot of my clients. Okay, so this is the generalized process for most of the people that I work with one-on-one. My recommended protocol Start with a food journal and lower your calories using swaps. A food journal is just logging your food in any way, shape, or form. For some people, that's a notebook. For some people, that's using a calorie tracking app. Find whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you think you're gonna be sticking to, but having more mindfulness and writing it down is gonna be way more effective for you so you can actually keep track of what you're putting in your mouth. Lower the calories using those food swaps. Food swaps first, because it's gonna make your life still feel the same, right? We don't want it to feel like a nightmare. Add more protein and track your protein per day. Like we kind of said earlier, your goal should be your goal weight in pounds, in grams. So if you want to weigh 150 pounds, shoot for 150 grams. Very, very simple. And if you can't get to 150, that feels like too much, then shoot for 100 and then work your way up, right? If you're feeling really full because you're eating too much protein, like we said, it's doing its job. Then instead of saying, oh, I need 10,000 steps a day, because that's just, the number people tend to throw around nowadays, just increase whatever your average is by 1,000. So if you're averaging 4,000, bump it to 5. That's fine. That's that progression that we're looking for. We're not trying to be perfect off rip. What people really screw themselves up is they throw the kitchen sink at themselves week 1, and they try to stick to it for more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're falling off. Then, if you feel comfortable enough and you haven't done so already, that's when I would recommend starting calorie tracking. Each bullet point, I would recommend 1 to 2 weeks. So 1 to 2 weeks doing this, 1 to 2 weeks doing this, 1 to 2 weeks doing this, and so on. That is giving yourself time to let it become a habit. Don't try to do this all in a day, right? Do this for a couple weeks and start really learning food swaps. Then start adding in more protein for a few weeks. Start learning what some of your favorite protein sources are. Get used to it. Raise your protein per day. Figure out how to fit it more into your meals. Then once you got that down, then you start working in more movement. 1,000 steps a day, extra than what you're already doing. Start tracking it. Your iPhone, if you don't have to have an Apple Watch, you can use the health app on any of your cell phones. iPhone, Samsung, you can track it using your health app. That's all you need. You don't need to have any sort of like fancy Fitbit or anything like that. Then you start calorie tracking. Give yourself a good month to adjust to that if you plan on doing it. And then I would increase steps by 1,000 one more time. And then if you feel really comfortable doing all of this, start strength training and have some fun. Like I said earlier, that's important. The end goal, though, is to not track calories forever, because tracking calories for a long time sucks. I got to the point where I was tracking the calories in my toothpaste, and that's not fun. So you don't want to get obsessive. It's very easy to get obsessive, especially when you get really addicted to progress. So the goal is hit your goal weight and teach yourself how to step away from calorie tracking. Take breaks every once in a while and still learn how to have fun and how to be not so number oriented. That's very, very important. So the goal long term for sustainable fat loss is not to have the calorie track on your phone, the calorie tracker app on your phone after a couple of years, after a year, or however long. If you're only trying to lose 20 pounds, it won't take a year. Reach your goal, maintain it for a few months, delete the app off your phone. That's the goal. You don't want to track them forever. And yeah, the lifestyle should come first. The fat loss just kind of happens in the background if you do all this stuff. You can become extraordinary by doing the obvious, ordinary thing for an extraordinary amount of time. This is it. This is all you need. This entire presentation is right here. Just do the obvious thing and don't stop. Make it easy for you to do the obvious thing. You don't need more supplements. You don't need a waist trainer. You don't need to buy that thing on TikTok Shop that you saw. You don't need whatever Becky from Facebook said. Just do the obvious thing for an extraordinary amount of time and you will beat every single person around you. And that can apply to anything. Fitness, business, life, relationships. This is one of the things I live by for sure. That's it. So we've got my social media handles here. So this is my YouTube channel, Big Fella Brand. This is my Instagram account. And you can find me on any of my socials at The Biggest Fella with 2 underscores right here. And then there's my TikTok as well. Got 100,000 followers on TikTok, 2,000 on YouTube, and 13,000 or 12,000 on Instagram. So people like what I say for some reason. So shout out Jacob. He drove all the way from Northern Indiana to come here. He's been a follower for a long time. So thank you for being here, man. And yeah, that's everything. So thank you guys so much for being here. And thanks to the library for asking me to come in. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.
How often do you recommend weighing yourself?
That's a really good question. So I say once per week on the same day of the week. So I usually tell my clients do it on Saturdays, in the morning, after you use the restroom, before you eat anything. Don't be wearing a parking snow boots. Just be wearing like a pair of shorts or something, right? But keep that data really, really regimented and routine. Don't weigh yourself Thursday after dinner and then Sunday morning before breakfast. You're gonna get a lot of different skewed data. So once per week is good because you're not trying to obsess over everything. You want to see a long-term trend downward. That's all we're looking at, because there will be weeks where you are absolutely perfect and the scale doesn't move. And that's really frustrating. Zoom out.
Is there a certain amount of time you're supposed to eat? Like, I tend to only eat maybe 1 to 2 meals a day.
As far as literally time of day, no, it doesn't matter at all. Your body doesn't know what time it is. That's what I always like to say. So your body doesn't really know what time it is. So what I recommend is whatever you're enjoying the most and whatever fits best into your lifestyle. I typically only eat about 2 meals a day. That's usually what I do because it's just what works best for me. I've done 4, I've done 3. I mean, it really just depends on what you enjoy. But from a lifestyle perspective, it doesn't matter as far as time of day. Like eating late at night is a complete myth too. I didn't put that on here, but a lot of people still believe that one. That is one I get all the time on social media when I have people messaging me and stuff. You can eat past 7 p.m. The world's not gonna explode. Nothing changes. So, yeah. And I have a whole bunch of really cool free resources. So if any of you are looking for a little bit of more help, I have a free 31-day free email course that sends you 1 email every day, gives you a whole bunch of new information. I've got a list of 300 of those food swaps if you're interested in some of those food swaps as well. It's all digital. And if you follow me, you can click on the links, or if you want to stay behind, I can show you how to access them. I would print them, but they're literally 101 pages. So that's a lot of trees wasted. So I didn't. But yeah, that's everything. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate all of you for coming, and I'll answer any more questions after. So thank you.